Okay, let me turn down this TV a tad. Okay, so hello, Demetra. This is blackout video. I'm just gonna be talking just to talk. Probably saying some stuff, probably not. Probably had my silent moments for a while. Probably not. But like I said, this is just kind of like a diary for me. Not even a diary, because a diary is really supposed to be private. But hey, I'm like an open book because I'm quite sure a lot of people experience the same stuff that I have experienced and vice versa. So anything that I'm saying is probably not even new to many people, you know, and especially since it's the truth. It is what it is. People go through things in life that makes them who they are, and I'm not no different. So yeah, um, I mean, like I said, I'm just talking, or just thinking. I don't know what I'm thinking, but you know what? I be that song "Thinking Out Loud" about by what's it, Ed Sherman? No, Sheenan. You know what? Never mind. But it's called "Thinking Out Loud." Is this the song that I'm thinking? What? How that song go? Well, that's the song I'm talking about. Well, what was I saying about that? Oh yeah, thinking out loud. I be thinking like, but I be like, I don't even have to say um my words out loud. Like when I think, things happen. So I'm like, even I don't know. I was thinking about this for a few times in the past. I'm just like, you know what? Because I'm the type of person, like, if I be thinking about something or watching something on TV or YouTube, and then something come to my mind that, a phrase or something or a sentence that I want to write down, I'm like, ugh, I don't feel like going, because I text myself, stuff, a whole lot of stuff that I want to say that I need to put together because I got so much stuff like written down, different phrases, different sentences, but I need to put all together to make it come, put all the pieces together. So I got pieces here, pieces there. I text myself if, one day I might decide to just write. So I got things on paper. I'm just like, oh, so much stuff. But okay, but what I was saying was I be thinking like, would something come to me that I want to write down or that I want to say, that I want to remember, basically? I'm like, oh, okay, I gotta remember that. But I'm like, I don't feel like texting myself. So then I'm like, dang, this would be, and then it came to my mind like, oh, this would be the time when people have like the assistants. But then again, some phones, or I think probably about any phone, you can talk and say, hey, text this to myself or text this to that person or call that person, and the phone would do it. But I'm like, I don't know. But, for me to be like, hey, I just thought of this, write this down, and somebody can write it down, or, however they want to do it, write it or text it, so I won't have to do it. It's weird, but yeah. But basically, you know, I realized like ever since I was a kid, like a little girl, and like I said, man, people, beings came to me and told me, like, look, You know who you are. Like, you know, like what you can do. And I'm like, oh, okay. Man. But yeah, things would happen when I was a kid, and I would just think about it, and then it would happen. And it really depends on how strongly I'm thinking about it. Like if I be like, oh, you know, like how I'm feeling at the moment, you know. So yeah, so that's why I'm like, ooh, I gotta think positive thoughts. Gotta think positive thoughts, you know. So that's what I've been doing, and I'm that way anyway. You know, I see I could be going through some stuff, and I just figure out the positive or realize the positive of why I'm going through it. Like I'm like, okay, it's a reason for this. And then sometimes I'll be like, this gotta be a test. This gotta be a test. Like for real, for real. But I'm over here watching King Kong or whatever. And I'm like, this movie, man, you know how you watch movies? I mean, I've seen this a few times, but you know, excuse me, how you watch movies years ago, and then you once you rewatch it, you like, oh, okay, I see some colder stuff. Or oh, I didn't see this before. Or oh, I get the joke. Or oh, you know, I get what they was implying. Like different things. And like I said, I know the story of King Kong. Well, this movie I've seen it before plenty of times, but I'm just like, how in the world? First of all, how did they get him back to New York in the first place? Like, come on now. So they just sedated him that whole trip. And then for two, like I would think that boat would have sunk. Like, did they put him in a boat? And I mean, did they drag him in the ocean? Like, did they send for a helicopter? Like, come on now. How did they get him, you know, back to the States? But also, I'm just like, how in the world? I ain't gonna say how in the world, but I'm just like, y'all took him from his home, from his habitat. And then when y'all was there, y'all over here trying to hurt the person. I'm like, y'all came in his territory, in his home. Y'all are guests. Y'all need to obey by his rules. Like, don't come up, you know, up in here, up in my place, trying to regulate things. Like, no, trying to hurt me. Like, y'all up in my house. So yeah, so I was at the park close to the end. You know, that nighttime. You know, he got the girl. He jumping across buildings and whatnot. And I'm like, that would have been a talk of the town. Like, I mean, talk of the world. Like this big gorilla, you know, a big, big gorilla. Like, shoot. And then I'm sitting there, here go the military with their rifles and stuff. And I'm like, when he came to the States, like I said, I believe this is supposed to be New York. Yeah, because he climbing up I want to say the Eiffel Tower, but I think that's in Paris. He climbing up what is this building? Yeah, he climbing up the I can't even think. Is it the Eiffel? No, the Eiffel Tower is in Paris. Well, y'all know the building King Kong climbing up of, and I believe that's in New York. Now I'm going to be thinking about it. I don't know. It's going to come to me when I'm not even. Let me not think about it yet, because that's when it's going to come to me. But so yeah. So basically, what about to say? But yeah, like how people want to come in somebody else's house and then trying to dictate and change things around and then make that person who housing and make it as though they are the bad one. Like, you came here. Like you need to obey my rules, you know, or just treat me with respect. Like, you know, come on now. Come on now. Lucky enough I let you stay this long. Cause you know I could have been chopped some heads off. So yeah, And then I'm like, Kong, he wasn't talking, but, like verbally talking, but he was, you can tell what he was saying and his feelings, by his hand gestures, his eye movements, his facial expressions. And, that's like what my children was, autism. Like I know, like you don't, even though they're not talking, but you sense what they feeling and what they want to say. So it's like, come on now, just pay attention. So yeah, it's at that part when he just looking at her, and then the sun is rising. You can tell he's hurt, and he's probably looking like, what the heck? Like, I'm in a foreign land, and y'all bring me out of my home just to kill me. Like, take me back at least. Y'all don't want me here. Just take me back. Stop trying to, you know, hurt me. But anyways, yeah. So that's King Kong. So, um, oh yeah. So my children. Speaking of my children, hmm, listen. When I say folks is trying to keep my children apart, like they grew up together. I have an 8-year old son named Melvin. He has not seen his 1.5-year old sister. She'll be 2 in April. So yeah, she's 1.5. He hasn't seen her. For her first birthday, I emailed his dad. Well, no, let me take that back. I emailed his dad's lawyer, um, saying like, hey, his sisters, we having a birthday party over at the house, over at the apartment. I'm inviting, of course, my son and you to come over, yada, yada, yada. And the time and the date, I told him, well, told his lawyer, um, or whatever. I emailed her. So, excuse me. So, of course, he didn't show. And it was a small, it wasn't like no big party, it wasn't nothing like that. Dollar store decorations, which turned out great. I mean, she just, she turned one. I mean, shoot, it was cool. It was fun like any other day. But it would have been nice, for her brother to meet her, to finally meet her. But I know it's coming, so I'm not rushing anything. I'm not forcing anything because I know divine timing is at its best when you wait patiently. And when I already seen, was all my children together, like happy, playing, we chilling on the beach, like we just like, man, already done been seen it. So I'm like, I know it's coming. I know it's coming. But at times I do be like, come on now, what's the hold up? Come on. But I can still continue to wait patiently, you know. And but yeah, so my children, I'm like, okay, yeah. So basically, his dad didn't. Oh, so at a next court date that we had, this is for custody, and this was probably like a year ago. I mean, we've been through this custody, started back in um 2017. Yeah, like 2017, and the order date was in June of 2018. But anyways, um, oh, this toenail is hard. I need to get my feet done. This toenail too. I need these clippers. but but yeah. So anyways, the next court date after her birthday, I invited him to the birthday party. To the gathering over here. And so the next court date, I don't know, a few months later. I don't know, it was a few months later. So during the court date, for another one because I was asked to modify it. I wanted to modify. the order. So we at the court thing or whatever. So here go his lawyer. And mind you, I represented myself. This whole time I ain't had no lawyer except for when I had for the criminal charge, second degree assault, and something else that his dad lied and said that I did. So I did actually pay for a lawyer, a defense attorney, instead of using the ones that they be having at the court. I forgot what they called. The ones that the judge be had. I mean that the court system be having a public defender. Yes, that's what they're called, public defender. I was like, I heard about them. I'm gonna just go ahead and pay and pay for a lawyer because this is something serious and I can go to jail for something that I didn't even do. So let me just pay for somebody so I know that they actually want to work for their money. But anyways, so that was the only time that I had a lawyer dealing with him or just any time really. Yeah. So anyways, we went to court. This is for custody. So I brought up the fact that showed the emails. Like yeah, I even emailed him about my daughter's birthday party. And then his lawyer was like, well, did you email him or did you email me? And I was like, well, yeah, I actually emailed the lawyer. And she was like, well, see, he didn't get it. And I'm like, but you're his lawyer. Like, I'm like, you're his lawyer. So if y'all supposed to have that relationship, that um, professional relationship, anything that I send to you, you should be sending to him. That's like since I'm representing myself, I'm my own lawyer. So that means I'm emailing a lawyer because I'm my lawyer. But like I said, the judge wasn't having it. Like I said, everybody is in on this thing. Like I feel like, man, Baltimore City courthouse people, the people that's dealing with this custody case, these judges, and most of them are females. Who knows if they got kids or not? But how in the world, like I said, all of this, man, and everybody keep telling me no, no, no. And I'm like the calmest one. I'm the one that's the team player, want the best for all of my children, not just my son Melvin, but I go in there and I talk about all of my children, like what's best for all of them. I'm like, I don't just have one child. Like, yeah, we focusing on Melvin. Okay, I get that. This case is for him, but for me, it's for all of my children, not just him. The Empire State Building. That's what it is. The Empire State Building. Swing that airplane. There you go. Yeah. Okay. But so yeah. So basically, I'm like, come on. So okay, I would say this. I was man. Where do I freaking begin? It's like, do I start from current and work my way back? I don't know, but how I talk, am I this is really for me anyway. So I know what I'm saying, and I know how I talk, so I can understand myself. You know, probably if anybody's watching this or going to watch it, I can understand myself better than y'all could probably understand me. So when I talk, I probably go back and forth. I don't know, keep repeating myself. That's just how I talk. But anyways, um, okay, yeah. So currently, my son, he's been diagnosed with severe autism. When he was in my care, he had, it's different levels of autism, and he was not severe. He was not severe. And I would say that when he was taken from me, he was almost 3 years old. He turned three in December 19th of 2017. He turned three, and he was taken from me October of 20, I mean, of that same year. What did I say? 2017, yeah. And so October 2017, he was taken from me, and he turned three December 19th of 2017. So, and during that time, he had, different levels, because he was in the Baltimore Infants and Toddler program, and he was getting treatment from the Kennedy Krieger programs also in Baltimore. And so like his, they have social skills, they have emotionals, they have I cannot never say this word right. Conjugative, conjugative, conjugative. If the word was in front of me, I would say it, but it's a CON, and at the end it's TIVE. But that, so it's different things that they put his levels on, like how, like the months on. So when he was taken from me, and I believe his emotional skills, which I got the paperwork in the closet, I don't feel like getting it out right now. So, but believe, if I remember, his emotional skills for my son Melvin at the time when he was taken from me was 2 months, no, was 4 months old level, and his verbal skills, I believe, was 6 months, 4 or 6 months. But his that word conjugative skills was, he was at 9 months. So basically, I'm just stick with that. So basically, when my son was taken from me, he was basically 9 months old, like mentally, kind of like 9 months old, even though he was about to turn 3. So, and I've been in my son's life, of course, since before birth, like that's my baby. Like me and his dad, we did have schedules when he would see him. It was like a permanent schedule. He have certain days, and I would have certain days. But for the most part, like I was in my son's life every single day. Like I said, during the days that his dad have him, of course, I wasn't. Excuse me, because he would pick him up from the sitter's house, which was his mother's house, and just take them home and whatever, and drop them off, and then the same thing. So I wouldn't, I probably drop them off that morning time, but his dad would pick them up in the evening. Then the next day his dad would have them, and then day after that I would see him. So we had a schedule working. But um but yeah, but other than that, like he's been, like, come on now, we've been in each other's life every single day. Like, come on now, that's my baby. So for me to be taken from him, like, what damage do y'all, I mean, but like, what is wrong with y'all people? Like, just thinking about it, I'm like, dude, what is wrong with you? And then you walking out the courtroom smiling. Like, I didn't even look at his face. My sister told me this, like, a few weeks later. This is during the trial for the petition, um for the Daggett protective order. So yeah, so his my man, me having a good heart, like, oh my goodness, people take that and run with it. Like, I gave this nigga a ride home when he asked me. Like, I could have said no, but me being the nice person I am, I'm like, okay, yeah, I go ahead and give you a ride home, even though I live in the opposite direction. And the whole time not knowing that this Bama over here in the passenger seat plotting, or been plotting, when he asked me, to ask him, can I give him a ride home to just take our son? Like, he didn't give me no warning, no nothing. It's like, come on now. And then that same day where we was at Kennedy Krieger, we was there for like a few hours. This was like the last day. It was a 3 day. It was like a 3 day. Um, I guess assessment or whatever. But this was on the third day. So, and this was on the third day. And so, and so that lunch break, because the email was like, we're gonna stay here for a couple hours, then we're gonna have a lunch, then we come back, and then finalize everything up in a meeting, and that will be it, and we'll send a report, in a month or so. Okay, cool. So this is the third day now. So already done packed the lunch for Melvin. I know what he likes to eat, all that. Packed myself a lunch, packed him a lunch, because I'm like, we're going to be staying there, and I'm pretty sure they got break rooms and stuff like that. If not, I will sit outside, and eat, So during this break time, I even asked his dad, like, well, yeah, obviously, since I think it's probably like an hour break. So I even asked his dad, I was like, well, did you want to take them to go get some food? Did you want to take them to go get some food? or whatever. I can't rewind this. And Netflix be quick to start a preview. Um, so I even asked his dad, like, did you want to take him, to go get some food, take him to McDonald's or something to go get some food while we on while we on break, and then of course, we all come back here when it's time, and whatever. I just put it on margin call, and let me see, play from the beginning, and yeah, bring it back. We all meet up again, after lunch and stuff like that. And I was like, if you don't want to, that's fine, because I packed the lunch. I specifically was telling his dad this. I'm like, if you don't want to, I got lunch packed right here, and it's, in his lunch pad, in his lunch bag. So we're good. But if you want to take them, there you go. So he's like, no, 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 you go ahead. He can stay with you. I'm like, okay, fine. So, like I said, we came back, had the meeting, and then, of course, I let him talk first, whatever, because I don't want him to be saying she didn't let me speak. So the whole time we was there, when the director or somebody asks us a question about him, I let him say what he got to say first, and then I go second. Because I don't want him to be like, oh, see, they only listening to what you say, they're not listening to me. So I said, let him speak first, then I can give my answer, my response after his. But anyway, so fast forward to we came back from lunch, and then during the time, me and Melvin, what did I pack him? I think one of them banquet meals. He liked them Salisbury steak, and then them barbecue ribs. Um, yeah. But anyways, but we ate. Me and Melvin, we ate at Kennedy Krieger. They had this room. We went. I ain't gonna say we went in the wrong room, but it was the right room at the time, because we was in there by ourselves, and it was. And then come to find out, right when we was done, it was just me and him in there. So he was eating. I I don't even know what I had for myself to eat, but I know I didn't eat it all because I was focusing on him. Making sure he eats or whatever. But when we was finished eating, I wiped down everything, cleaned up the table or whatever. And then so an employee came in, was coming in. She was like, "Oh, this is for the employees lounge, and this is Albert room or something." She was saying, and the participants break room is further down the hall and whatever. I'm like, "Oh, okay, thank you," because I didn't know that. Like the lady mentioned it, but I thought I was in the right area, but I wasn't. I was in the employee one, but we was like leaving out anyway, within like 2 minutes, So I was like, oh, okay. I was like, well, shoot, we done finished eating them. But we did go down the hall, and there was like a little small section with like vending machines and tables and stuff. And I think I was feeding him his snacks at that time, like he ate his meal. But so that same day, it's time to leave. So I'm, getting my stuff together. His dad was like, "You think you can give me a ride home? Can you give me a ride home?" And I'm like, okay, yeah, sure." And that's where it all began. The drama. Well, the drama started before that, but really the lies, the illegal stuff started. So, yeah. So basically, let me adjust myself. And so yeah, I ain't gonna keep saying this story over. But basically, yeah, his dad done lied and said that I sped down the parking lot. The door was wide. This is what his dad said. What happened? That I sped down the parking lot with the door wide open, and then I did a U-turn speeding, and which made the door close. And our son was not in his car seat. He wasn't strapped in. He wasn't in the car seat, and that my car door bumped his dad's arm, and basically I just sped off, you know. speeding down that parking lot. So I'm like, I was reading it, and all that's false. All of that is false. Okay, it's false. His dad lied, but that's what he put on a petition to get a protection order, and he ain't even write it. Somebody else wrote it. Okay, and mind you, it was no witnesses. So yeah, it was no witnesses. So whoever he had write it, which I already know who wrote it, somebody that's trying to be like me and that's trying to take my place as for my son, trying to be my son's mother. No. My son know who his mother is. Like, come on there. You would never be that. Never be my son's mother. But so yeah, so basically, um yeah, so and that's not even what happened. For one, why would I I mean, just saying it is just so freaking funny. Like, trust me, I would not speed down no parking lot. I wouldn't speed down no freaking street. No, if people is walking, have a possibility of walking and dodging out a kid, a baby, an animal, a person can, dodge out, in that area. Like, trust me, I would not be speeding. Absolutely not, because anything could have happened. And then that parking lot was not even like that big, and for anybody to speed down. And then for two, like I said, it was parked cars. But I'm like, a car could have been backing out. Like come on now, why would I speed down? No, I don't got time for all that. I do not got time for all that with insurance and stuff like that. No. So trust me, I was not speeding. And then secondly, um, my son, he was in his car seat. He wasn't his harness and stuff was strapped off. His harness wasn't buckled, but he was sitting in his car seat sleep. He was still asleep. He was unbothered, he was still sitting up, still asleep. So, but on the paperwork that his dad had somebody write, or that somebody was so anxious to write, it was like, yeah, he's not like, I got the paperwork in the closet. Well, I'll bring it out one day and show it. But and I highlighted this stuff too. Like I said, when I went to court, I was trying to prove that look, all this is freaking false. I done got copies of my son's doctor's paperwork and everything, But here go the judge, no, no, no. Like, and then, like I said, I defended myself, so I already know. Well, I didn't at the time, but I realized the rules that the judges have with the lawyers. Like, hey, if we can't say yes to somebody that doesn't have representation, even though they proven their case, they making sense, but they don't have representation, because that will look bad on the lawyer that's actually representing the other person. Like how that's going to look on a lawyer resume. Oh yeah, I lost a case with somebody who didn't even have representation, and then that judge, it's, man, see, like I said, I know this stuff now. So I'm like, yeah, the judges probably couldn't tell me. I mean, they could if they wanted to, but they took that oath, and I'm like, come on now, this dude is obviously lying. And then for one, he wasn't even talking. His lawyer was doing all the talking. One of the reasons why I'm like, I'm going in by myself, like defending myself or just representing myself, is because I know my son. I can talk for myself. I don't need nobody to be talking on my behalf for me about my son, about my child. I got this. I got this. And I got plenty to say. And I said a whole lot too, but still, that damn judge or whatever her name, Ashby, ASBUY, ASABU, whatever her name is, she want to give him sole custody. I'm like, not even joint, but sole custody. And I'm like, how in the world? And I'm like, the root of all of this is because of the protection order. And then in the state of Maryland, because I was doing research too, there was like an order, well, I guess this is probably in any state, there was like an order for a mother to lose custody of her child is if the person proved that the mother is unfit. So when I read that, I was like, this is even before all this and happened. I'm like, well, shoot, I'm fit. My son been in my life his whole life. I'm working, I'm doing this. I'm stable. So, but when that incident happened, when he got that protection order against me, I also read up that they were saying that if you got a protection order, like if I got you know, once I got that put on me, that protection order for my son, because the protection order was like I can't have no contact with my son or his dad. That whole thing was like that's what made everybody tell me no, because it was like, oh, she got a protection order that she couldn't even speak to her child, like she had to stay away from her child. So whatever she's saying, she's telling the truth, she making sense, she's right about a whole lot of stuff, but and we still gotta not give her custody because of this protection order that she had against her, dealing with the child that we, going to court for. So, at that time I didn't know that, but years later I'm like, come on now, like I'm putting pieces together and I'm like, all this because of this mother effing done lied. Like, dude, what is it? And I'm trying to think, like, what did I do to him? Like he know me and I know him. And I'm like, this isn't him. Like me and his dad, I'm talking about Melvin. Me and his dad, we ain't had no arguments really. We wasn't like that. We barely even really communicated in a sense, Like I'm not really a talker when I'm around people, unless it's some food, and then I'm probably talking or whatever. Like, shoot, yeah, I'm a foodie. Like, bring out some food. I'll shoot. The food tastes good. I'll eat and talk. you know. But for the most part, man, it was cool. When we would take him to doctor's appointments and stuff like that, we'd sit down in the waiting room. We don't argue. We just talk about our son. Like no problems. Like, what's the reason to have a problem? It's nothing. And mind you, and I'm talking about the times when we wasn't in a relationship. Like, you know, it's like we was cool. Like, what's the problem? So I'm like, the only thing I can think of is that I don't want to be with him. So he's like, oh, and also the thing that I'm thinking of too is that I wasn't causing any problems or drama with him and his new relationship. And you know how some females, you can tell their maturity level, whatever. Because I'm like, why do people, or why do some females constantly want to start drama with the child's mother? And I know it could probably be vice versa too. But I'm like, if since I don't want to be with this dude, why would I care who he's with? I do not care. Why would I be bothered? Why would I be thinking about who he's with? I don't want to be with him, so I don't give a damn. And that's how it is. So I wasn't, well, like I said, I've been wasn't calling him. So it's like wasn't no need for me to start calling him over some random stuff. Like why? You know. So what I get from this, from my experience with Melvin, with his dad, I'm talking about the second Melvin the second. My son is Melvin Brown the third. But what I get from his dad is, or the person who he was with, is that they was like, what? She ain't causing no drama. She not bitter. She not calling you all hours of the night. She not posting anything about us. She's not bothering us. She's not bothering you. Dang it, we need to cause some kind of conflict. We need to cause some drama. And that's what I believe will happen because speaking on experience from a previous baby daddy, that's what happened. My oldest two, his dad, well, they dad, I should say, his girl was doing the same thing, and he, ended up doing the same thing. And I'm just like, what in the heck? Like, I'm not bothering none of y'all guys. I'm not bothering none of y'all females. Why do y'all insist on keep trying to start drama? keep trying to have me go back and forth and argue over some dumb stuff. Like they start trying to make up some dumb stuff, create some dumb issues for me to say something about. Listen, like I said, probably going to be going back and forth with this thing because I'm just talking. I remember when my son AJ, he was with me. Was he with me at the time? No, he was living with his dad at the time. And I don't know, just say he was turning 7. I don't know. I can't remember the year. I'm gonna just say 7. Probably wasn't 7, but I'm gonna just say he was turning 7. So, like I said, I was seeing them every other weekend. Where they was with their dad, I was seeing them every other weekend. Where they was with me, their dad was seeing them every other weekend. Fine, no problems, nothing, everything cool. So it was the time where my son's birthday was coming up, March 9th, and I supposed to been seeing him on the weekend, just say of his birthday. Say the weekend Saturday was probably the 10th. So that means his birthday was on a Friday. So that means, the weekend of his birthday, that's my weekend. I'm seeing my son, his birthday weekend, fine. So why does that end up calling me like 2 days before? Like say I'm supposed to get him on Friday on his birthday, and his dad probably called me on a Wednesday and was like, well, yeah, he probably called me on a Wednesday and was like, well, yeah, I know coming up supposed to be your weekend, but can you not get him this weekend? And I'm like, huh? I'm like, no, I'm getting him this weekend. It's my weekend to get him. I'm like, what's the problem? Well, yeah, and then he said, his wife's name, which I'm not going to say, bring that energy up over here. No, but he was like, yeah, she planned a party and invited all his classmates and this and that or whatever. And I'm like, what? I'm like, did y'all not see the calendar? Did you not know that this was my weekend? It wasn't like it just popped up out the blue, like, oh, I'm like, you can calculate every other weekend. So he's like, well, yeah, things is already paid for and this. And I'm just like, but you knew it was my weekend. Yeah, but can you not? How about we just drop them off Saturday evening? Like around 6 o'clock or so after the party. I'm just like, okay, yeah, sure. Like it took me everything not to like really argue. But I'm just like, okay, that's fine. But I'm just like, what if I had something planned? What if I paid for something? You telling me on a Wednesday, and if I, like, what if I had something planned and people was coming out and a whole lot of people was coming out and I rented a hall or something or rented a place or something with no deposit back. He wasn't thinking about that, was he? So I took the high road and was like, okay, that's fine, cool. But I'm like, come on now, that was just something else, to try to create something. And then it was an incident. This is what his name is Lamont, my oldest two kids' father, that punk ass nigga who just stood there while his wife put her hands on me while I was pregnant with Melvin. And then come to find out, Lamont and Melvin, now them two are buddy buddy. They contacting each other, trying to create schemes and plots on me. What they need to be doing is, making play dates for my sons so they can see each other. But instead, I'm talking about right now, like they calling each other, texting each other, they in communication with each other about me, not about our sons. And yes, I know it's the age gap, but still some kind of a, you know, something so that, my son can actually physically see his brothers. But nah, they all plotting and scheming on me. Oh, well, what can we do next? What can we do next? And I'm still not texting or bothering none of these motherfuckers. I'm still not doing that. Like I said, the people want a reaction out of me. But anyways, what was I saying? So oh yeah, so it was another time. This where I messed up at, but like I said, I didn't know it was a learning experience. So this is dealing with Lamont, my oldest two, Avon and AJ, their dad. So my we not together. He got married, whatever. So when I started realizing was that his girl was contacting me about my sons, about our sons. Like she would be like, "Oh, Avon, yada yada yada," or AJ this, or can you meet us at such and such a time instead of this time? Like she would be the one communicating with me, not their dad. So of course, I really ain't having a problem with it. I was just like, okay, it's a whole family thing. We all supposed to be working together. That's fine. I didn't see no issue with that. Of course, until months later when I'm like, damn, I fell for the damn trap. Like, basically, I'm over here giving her the green light as if I supposed to be only contacting her about my sons, because that's what I was. Like, I wasn't even contacting their dad anymore. I was just contacting her and she was contacting me. So I guess I gave her that, she felt like she had the right to just disrespect me or like take over, because then it was coming time and a place when I did contact their dad about something, and he was like, "Oh, well, you got to contact her about that. You got to call her about that." I'm like, "What? Why do I gotta call her about that? I'm asking you about our sons." And I want to say it was I think I was asking him, "Can I see this? Can I see my sons?" Um, another weekend, like, my current weekend, but then can I get them the following weekend, which wasn't supposed to be my weekend. I'm like, can I see them, back to back, which would end up being 3 straight weekends in a row, because I asked him like, if y'all not doing nothing with them, can I have them this weekend coming up, something. So he was like, "Oh no, I have to ask her about that." And I'm like, "Well, are y'all planning it? Did y'all got anything planned?" He was like, "Well, no, but I still gotta ask her." Or no, he ain't say he gotta ask her. He said, "I have to ask her, or I have to talk to her about that." I'm like, "Huh? Why do I gotta talk to her about that? I'm asking you about our sons. Like, can I get them for the weekend or not? Like, you say y'all got nothing planned for them, so why do I gotta talk to her about?" So he just kept saying, "You gotta talk to her about that." And I'm like, okay, whatever. And so yeah, and then I was doing it. I was contacting her. Sometimes she would be rude, but I'm just taking it as okay. She's young, like I knew that part. Like okay, she's young. She probably got the mindset of, ha ha ha. I got him. I married him, and you know, you didn't marry him. I married him. Ha. It is so funny because that's the energy that I was feeling when I used to see her, and I'm just like, does she know that I don't want him? That I ain't even want him when we were together, right? And he knew this. Like, do she know that he proposed to me a couple of times? Like, do she know that he told me that I'm his only love and the first person he fell in love with? Like, come on. And that's another thing. That's why I'm just like, I know why he's probably like this because he's probably heartbroken. Now, mind you, I don't mean to hurt these guys' hearts. Like, I, I, I do not. I'm not no. I don't want to purposely be a heartbreaker, but I realize that that's probably most likely what happened. These dudes are upset because they can't be with me anymore because I don't want to be with them anymore. So now they got to settle, and then they settled for the girl that came right after me. Not this isn't the third, fourth girl after me. This is the very next girl after me. So now in their mind, I'm quite sure they probably comparing me with her, her with me, and then they like, damn man, I done effed up. Like so now they taking, all that madness, all that hostility because I don't want to be with them. Now they trying to cause drama with me. Like, oh, well, yeah, and my girl got my back. So, yeah, both of us going to hurt Demetra. She hurt me. So, I'm a hurt her. So she don't want to be with me. And she got me stuck in this relationship that I don't even want to be in because of her. I'm just like, nigga, it ain't my fault. Like, I told you what it was. I told you years ago that I didn't want to be with you. And that's the thing. Like, I do tell guys, like, like, yeah, in the beginning, if we kicking it, if we doing things or whatever, cool. But then after a while, if I'm not feeling them, if I'm just realizing, like, oh, like, what am I doing? I would tell these guys, like, let's just be friends. is like, I don't want to have sex with you. Why I tell the guys like, I'm not feeling your sex, like I'm not sexually attracted to you, like, and the guys would still be like, oh, but I still want to be with you. Come on, man. It's been so many times when, listen, when I was with Lamont, even and AJ dad, and this is, and yes, again, we do have two kids together, but I told him about himself. Like himself. I told him about himself, like, no, I'm not, no. So it was times when we were in a relationship. And of course, I do believe, like, yeah, if you're in a relationship with somebody, y'all should want to be intimate with each other. It's like, yeah, that's one of the benefits of being in a relationship with somebody, be intimate, do y'all thing. But I want to do my thing with this dude. And then it's like, when I do my thing, I know it's just like, like I don't, man, I wasn't feeling freaking nothing. And it's been times where, how can I say, when me and him was in a relationship and we wasn't intimate. We wasn't intimate because of me. Because he would be like, on Tuesday, you think we can have sex on Tuesday? And it can be like Thursday, the previous week on Thursday, and I'm just like, because he know I have to like prepare myself mentally to have sex with him. And I'm just like, oh man, I be at that time I'll be hoping my period would stay on for like 2 weeks. I'll be like, that'll be my excuse. Come on, period, stay on. Or I'll be thinking, oh, well, I can probably make up something. Yeah, I'm on my period. Like something and trying to push it out longer. Even though my period, wasn't that long, but I was, was trying to make it seem like it was like that it just started. But sometimes it would be just ending, and I'll be like, oh yeah, I'm on my period, you know. But but yeah, and it's been times when me and him was intimate, and I would cry. Like I would cry. He would be on top of me, or just on his side. Like I turn my back to him. He do whatever, and I would just be crying because I'm just like, I don't feel anything, and I don't want to do this. And this dude kept constantly asking me, basically pleading with me, can we have sex today? Can we have sex tomorrow? Can we have sex next week? Can we? And then like after a while, I'm just like, okay, this dude keep asking me, and I'm saying no. And then like 3 days go, or maybe 2 days go past, and he don't mention it. He don't ask me. So then when that third day come along, and he's like, can we do something? In my mind, I'm just like, you know what? Let me just say yeah, so he can stop asking me, and hopefully that'll be good for a few months. So yeah, so I just give in so he can just stop asking me. And I would be crying, like not boohoo crying, but just like tears rolling down my eyes, and it'd be dark, and I'd just be like, oh, y'all, ugh. So, like I said, I told him about himself, like, I'm not, sexually attracted to you, like, no. So then it came to a point in time, like, he knew this. So it came a point in time when I was just saying, let's do anal, because I'm like, at least I can feel a little something, when we do anal. So that's what we end up mostly was doing, what we was doing. But still, it was just a little bit of something. It wasn't no, no. And then I would not, oh yeah, and I would not give him, I'm gonna say fellatio. I wouldn't do that because it was just, no. I used to a couple of times, but when I'm just now I have to keep my eyes closed and I don't even want to be touching it because it was just not. No, I just feel like this is like a. I ain't trying to put him out there, but no, it's just like wasn't manly. It didn't feel like I was with a man, quote unquote. So I just couldn't. I had to stop doing that. Yeah, I didn't want to touch it. Didn't want to look at it. None of that. None of that. It's just no. So but yeah, so I told him about himself, and then like I said, what my second son, I wanted another child. Me and her wasn't even in no relationship, but I wanted a second child. So I was like the dudes that I was around, which wasn't really, I wasn't really around any really, but the one or two that I knew, I was like, I ain't gonna contact them and be like, hey, let's have a baby. And be like, what? What kind of? So I'm like, well, I already have a child with him, so let me just have another one with him. So my second son, I was like, yeah, I want another child. So I told him, I presented that opportunity to his dad, to their dad, and he was in a relationship with somebody. And I was like, well, I don't want to be in a relationship with you. I just want another baby. I'm like, you can still be your relationship thing. I ain't trying to mess that up. He was like, how that look? What she did makes sense, of course. Like, yeah, me and you have a baby. I guess you're pregnant. And then the baby come. And of course, my girl going to know if I'm still with her. And then she's going to calculate and know that I cheated on her and this and that. And I'm just like, well, yeah, you do got a point. So I'm just like, oh. So then he was like, well, you know what you got to do. If you want another baby by me, another child by me, you got to be in a relationship. And I'm like, no, I don't want to do that. He's like, well, that's the only way. So of course I gave in. So yeah, so that was the time that we was like having sex or whatever. And like I said, I wasn't crying, but I was just like, okay, hopefully you just get it over with. You know, it wasn't long, no way. Let's just do it and whatever, see what happens. So yeah, eventually I became pregnant with AJ, with my second son. So yeah, and then so after AJ was born, or was I still pregnant with AJ? I don't know, but I know he proposed to me for the final time, and then I told him no. Yeah, I think AJ was already born at this proposal. Yeah, I think he was already born, and yeah, AJ was already born because I remember it was around Christmas time. Yeah, he was a few months old. But anyways, I told him no. So then that's when, Lamont was like, well, why are we together? Why are we, still in a relationship? And I'm like, exactly. Like this whole time I told you I ain't gonna be with you. I'm just here, to be here like for the kids. You know what I mean? And then when I would leave, because I was staying over his house in Capitol Heights quite a few times throughout the week. And then also going to my mother's house in Waldorf, them other days. I mean, not in Waldorf, in Bowie. Me and my mother lived in Bowie at the time. But I was telling him like, and then I think at this time we wasn't even intimate, It was, like I said, it was like, no. And then I had them conversations with him like, let's just be co-parenting, like I can come over here with this, with our sons, so you can spend time with them, but me or you, we not like together. And if it's some days that you want to have your own company, that's fine. I'll leave, go to my mom's house. Like I have no problem with that. So we wasn't really in a relationship, but in his eyes, we was. But finally, I got the courage to just be like, "F this, I'm packing all my stuff and I'm leaving," because I'm just like me saying it, like I got to put action behind it, and I can't just be going over there because of the kids. Oh yeah, you want to see the boys? Yeah, we come over there, we spend the night, we sleep in the same bed, but we not doing anything. It's like that's kind of leading him on, in a sense. So I'm like, I gotta stop that. So I eventually did. And whew, when I say, when that finally happened, I tell you, it felt like a heavy ass weight just lifted off of me when I broke free from him. And like, I ain't gonna say he was holding me, but shoot, probably was. People be doing spells and stuff like that. But I know it felt like a heavy ass burden was off of me. And then I seen him in a different light also. Like when I was over there playing house, quote unquote, with him, not wanting to be with him, and whatever. It was like when I would just look at him, like he would enter a room, and I was just in my head like, oh, young, like I couldn't even stand the look to look at him. Like that's how I was. And I was over his house. So it was just like, and when I be hearing his voice sometimes, so I'm like, oh, young, like I'm about to leave. But I'm like, oh, gotta stick it through, gotta stick it through, you know. But when I finally left and was like, you know what, I can't stay the night over here anymore. I'm done. You know, we had the conversation again. But like I said, my actions proved like, that was it. This is it. We need to just be co parenting, you know, in separate households. So once that finally happened, and then when I did see him, like far as like outside or at the park with the boys, or he picking the boys up from my mom's house or something, or I'm talking to him on telephone about our sons, like I didn't feel that ill feeling. I felt like it felt like we were actually friends. Like I can talk to him about things, and I was talking to him about things. Like after we done split up, split apart, I went over my mother's house in Bowie. He stayed where he was at, and he was, I guess, dating, the girl that he's married to now. It was like I just felt good, like, whew. And then I was able to talk to him a bit easier, like we was cool. But when I was over that house with him, it was like no communication, no nothing. I ain't even want to look at him. So I'm like, yeah, I broke them chains. I was like, no, be up in no. That's why I'm just like, and me, like marriage. How can I say this? I am the type of person that would take marriage seriously. And back then, even as a little girl, I was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna get married. I'm gonna get married. I'm gonna get married. Now, of course, I see marriage in a whole different light. It's like a whole scam, to get money, signing a contract with the government, and they dictate your relationship. You got to go through these rules if you want to break up with somebody. It's like, shoot, if you married to somebody and it's money involved, but if you just boyfriend and girlfriend, it's like, oh, that's it. Bye. Have a good life. Even if you're engaged, well, some people be like, well, no, got to sue for the engagement ring. That kind of drama. And that should show you, like, damn, if we were to get married, we'll be fighting in court for something else. If we fighting about an engagement ring, it's just we broke it off. Like, do I get the ring back? You don't want to give me the ring back? Well, damn, that shows what type of person you is. Far as if we were to have got married, them type of people. But believe me, I gave him his engagement ring back when he asked for that sucker. This is when I was pregnant with Avon. My fingers was getting fat, mind you. When he proposed to me at CVS, I was like, I ain't know. And I even told him, like, I only say yeah because you did in front of a whole lot of people, and people was all looking, and all in my line. I'm trying to work, and But I told him, I was like, I don't want to marry you. Like, I tell these guys the truth. And then it's like when I tell them, like, basically, you ain't getting no more goodies. I don't want you to have no more goodies. You know, let's just be platonic. Let's just be co-parenting. That's what these niggas just get. Like, man, they turn into some drama-filled little ass biatches. Like, for real. And I'm like, damn, is this our true colors coming out? I'm like, what's the problem? Like and then I can see if I was this mean ass person, like this ghetto-fied, always causing problems and drama. Like I'm not that person. I'm not that person. I'm like one of the nicest people can ever meet. Did I say that right? Yeah, y'all know. Like I'm like so much drama free because I'm like, what's the point? I'll be trying to figure out what's the problem, what's the root of this, what's the root cause? Why you don't like me? Why are you doing this to me? What's the root cause? Because some kind of way it's either a miscommunication, a lie, or a misunderstanding. Like, what is it? What is it? Because I haven't done nothing to you. Like I said, I think these guys is mad that I broke free from them, and then I'm not communicating with them. I haven't been communicating with them when we split apart, especially even then for some drama stuff. I didn't care about them moving on. Because I'm like, I don't want you. Like, been there, done that. I don't want you. And if I wanted you, believe me, I will have you. But I don't want you. So why would I be tripping off of whatever you do after me? Whoever you do, whatever you do, I don't care. Let's just communicate about our sons. Let's just work together for our sons, be co-parenting. Like we don't have to have any issues, no problems, because what is the problem? What problems will we have? Don't start nothing, won't be nothing. But hey, these two, Lamont and Melvin, like I said, they over here communicating about me, plotting and scheming. And it's just like, come on, dudes. Come on, man. Like, come on, really. So, so yeah. So that's why I'm like, oh, and both of them got sole custody of my son. One son and one son. My oldest son, even, he's 20. But AJ and Melvin, they got their dads got sole custody. So basically, if I wanted to see my sons, I have to see them on their dad terms. It's like when and where. If their dad say, "Hey, meet me if you want to see your son, meet me at such and such a time." It's like how they do in the movies. If you want to see your child, meet me at such and such place at such and such a time, and come by yourself. And that's basically what it is with my son Melvin. Well, how can I say this? We had a court date in November, which I did not show. I sent the email. I was just like, what? Y'all want to tell me no again? I think this will be the third no in that year, like the third court date for custody for Melvin. And mind you, it was like a modification. I'm just like, can we put in dates and times so he can come over? Um, my place so he can interact with his siblings, like have his tutoring sessions, because he's in a program, Melvin is in a program for his autism. And then the people for the program, they can go to, they go to houses and go to schools or whatever. So we in court, lady was like, yeah, I'd be able to go to the mom house and give him his lessons over his mom house, and she can learn how to use the machine that he uses, that tablet. And we can do his sessions. I think it's the ABA sessions over at the mom house, and it'll be supervised. And I even agreed to the supervised visitation because I'm like, for one, I don't trust none of Melvin's people. Like, why would I, why wouldn't I have unsupervised? Because if I'm around my son Melvin for a few hours or whatever, and I'm quite sure if he were to come back with a scratch on his finger, there would be like up abuse. He got a scratch on his finger. How did this happen? Oh nope, we got to go to court and be like, nope, she can't see him anymore because he came back with the scratch. It would be something like that. Oh my goodness! And Melvin, he is really active. He is really active. He done got in a few accidents. Um, you know. So I'm like, I ain't trying to deal with that. So yes, I agree to the supervised visitation. I agree to that because that's looking out for my butt, for everybody else's butt. Y'all niggas ain't gonna set me up again. I don't think so. So the thing is, they mentioned supervised visitation. This is Melvin now. Mission supervised visitation. So I agreed to it. So then all of a sudden, since I agreed to it, they didn't want that to happen. They like, oh, well, no, it's not. We don't want supervised visitation. What's going to happen is she has to come over to the grandmother's house, and I'm like, wait a minute. I agreed to supervised visitation, like somebody bringing my child over, to my house, and we have, somebody watching him, and while he's over here interacting with his siblings. Like, what's the problem? And all of a sudden, since I agreed to that, y'all changed it up and be like, nope, this is what it is now. The only way that she can see Melvin if she go to the grandmother house by herself. She cannot bring nobody with her, none of her other kids. She just have to go there by herself. And I'm like, y'all motherfuckers think I'm going to agree to that? I don't trust y'all. Y'all freaking lied and said that I harmed my child, that I drove fast down a parking lot. Like, come on. Your ass got a protective order against me saying that I harmed my own child, a child that you didn't even want. Why do you think I will agree to go to your mother's house by myself when all y'all motherfuckers can show up there and set me up again? Then it'll be my word against what, six other people, five other people? Like, no. Try again, motherfucker. No, that ain't happening. And I'm just like, y'all people, I ain't gonna say y'all people, because for one, I'm was only intimate with Melvin. So I'm just like, yeah, even his mom, his cousins, or his stepdad or whatever, they know me. They know my character. But I'm like, I ain't had sex with them. I don't know them like that. But I know Melvin, me and him, we know each other. Obviously, I don't know him as well as I thought I did. For him to go along with all of this nonsense. But I'm like, dude, what did I do to you? Like throughout this whole time, you was the one who was treating me bad. You was the one who was disrespecting me. Not the whole time. Not, I'm not saying, oh yeah, he kept disrespecting me and I kept staying. No, I'm just saying throughout this time that we were together and that we weren't together, you were disrespecting me. Like I still was coming over, holding you down, doing things for you. Like, come on, dude. And even when I caught you in lies or, you did something bad or whatever, I wasn't cussing his ass out. I'm not the type of female to be putting my hands on no guy or to be all in his face yelling and stuff like that. I don't even yell. I don't even cuss like that. Well, I don't even cuss. I got to be in the mood. I know I just said a couple of cuss words because I'm in the mood. But just in general, when I talk, like, nah, I don't say none of that. That's I'm like, these niggas, they know my character. And Lamont know me since we was in the sixth grade. Like, this nigga asked me to the dance, our graduation dance in the sixth grade. Like, come on now. I'm shy, I'm quiet. I have a good heart. Like, come on, I'm friendly. Children, I get them, man. Come on now. Come on now. And for y'all to be plotting on me, like I said, they know to get to me is through my children. Or we have to take her children. That's might get her upset and cause her to, have some kind of communication with us. We need to take your children because hey, and at this point I'll be feeling like they don't even care what kind of communication I give them. They just, if I cuss them out, they'll just be like, yes, yes, she cussed me out. Yes, she communicated with me. If I send them a rude ass text or whatever, yes, yes, she communicated with me. That put a smile on their faces. Like, yay, she thought about me. And then, these niggas is pathetic. Like, oh my goodness. It's funny. Like I said, this man, it's comedy, it's drama, it's like suspense. There's so much stuff up in my life. Up in this movie. Up in this movie that's going on live right now. It's like a never ending story when somebody's reading a book and it's happening right now. It's like, say my name. Say my name. But but yeah, that's what it is. And I'm like, this is the truth. I mean, trust me, I don't gotta lie about nothing, not a damn thing. Y'all can go ask them for yourselves. Like, like I mean, ask whatever questions to them. But I'm like, nigga, and niggas. Y'all know y'all is straight lying. Is this all because I said no? Y'all can't have no more goods for me, you know? And I moved on quietly, peacefully, and y'all couldn't handle that. And obviously y'all girl couldn't handle that neither. They was waiting for some drama, and I wasn't giving them to them. Cause what for? I have no reason to. And it's like, oh, wait a minute. I hear baby mothers and fathers, they always argue. How come y'all two not arguing? Yep, let me handle that. I'm gonna make y'all argue. So the new girls like, let me start something between them. I'm like, damn. Oh, and then these new girls that they with. Well, I ain't gonna say new girls, but these girls that they with after me, their moms, their moms. So I'm like, how y'all plotting on keeping my sons away from me when y'all are mothers too? Y'all supposed to be mothers too. I can see if I actually did something to my children, which I did not, but y'all keeping another mother's child from her and y'all are moms. Like, come on, people. Treat others as you want to be treated. You a mother too. So remember that things is going to come back around, and it's going to be 100, 1,000 times worse than what y'all did to me. And that's going to be on y'all. I'm like, come on now. Why would you even, just thinking about that? Like, come on. Oh, because y'all trying to take my place? Trying to. Y'all bitches can never be me. Can never be me. And I'm quite sure they don't even want to be with each other. None of them. These relationships they in, they don't want to be with each other. They just in it because of me. Oh, well, we got to stick together because, we got the image of, I don't, y'all, I know what I'm talking about. Like I said, I don't know if people gonna be watching this, but this is really for me. But y'all know what I'm talking about. Like, oh, we got to stay together because we started like this and then we ain't together. Then she, like, again, focusing on me. It's like, bitch, don't focus on me because I don't care. Shoot, at the end of the day, I want everybody to be happy. I want everybody to be with the person they supposed to be with. Because as long as y'all in these relationships that y'all know that y'all don't want to be with that person, y'all holding up that real person that they supposed to be with. So at the end of the day, I'm like, if y'all not happy, leave. Leave. Because if you truly don't want to be with that person, I'm quite sure that same person truly do not want to be with you. I know it can't it gotta go both ways. Like one person cannot be like, oh, I love you, I want to be with you, I want to be with you. Then the other person is like, oh, young, like I don't want to be with you. Like, why are you holding that other person up? And that person who claims that they really want to be with you, they don't. Cause I'm like, why would you want to be with somebody they not happy with you? Like, come on. Like if a dude tell me, "Oh, Demetra, I'm not happy with you. I don't want to be with you," I'll be like, "Oh, okay, that's fine." Cause I'm like, I mean, what the fuck? what I supposed to do after that? I ain't gonna force somebody to be with me. Cause I'm like, I'm not the only female in this world, and damn sure he ain't the only guy in this world. So if a guy don't want to be with me, okay, cool. You know, there ain't no problem with that. And that's how guys should feel. If a female don't want to be with them, they should be like, okay, cool. Well, guess there's somebody. Well, you should know that there's somebody out there that you really supposed to be with. And like I said, as long as y'all people in these relationships that y'all not happy in, y'all holding up the person that y'all really supposed to be with. That person is probably single and probably just chilling and like, damn, where's this person that I'm supposed to be with. Like, I know they out there somewhere, but hey, I keep waiting. But then it's like they waiting on y'all asses to break up. So the universe can maneuver things in a way that y'all can come together, the two people can come together. you know. So I'm just like, hey, don't be trying to stay in these relationships because of me. Like, shit, y'all fucking each other's lives up and my children's lives. And speaking of my children, so like I said, I swear I be thinking like, well, I know that when all of my children get together, oh my goodness, when I say powerful, magical miracles, come on, man. And I'm like, if that's not the case, then okay, let my children come together, all of them. Let us meet up somewhere. I'm talking about Avon, AJ, Solomon, Melvin, Eleanor, you know, and the rest of them, like all my children, free them. Let us meet up somewhere, meet. Let them reunite. Let them unite. Like I said, Melvin haven't even seen his 1.5-year-old sister yet. I mean, they feel each other, and I'm talking about in the physical because, of course, spiritual, and they came from my womb, so they already know each other. It's like my youngest, Eleanor, she knows about Melvin because he was before her in my womb, so Eleanor got all her brothers, like spirit parts of them inside of her, so she know about them. And then like all my children are special, like single-handedly, like all of them is special. And it's like people playing games, like you gotta keep them separated. Like, niggas, this is for the children. The children are supposed to be happy. Y'all judges and motherfuckers and magistrates giving sole custody to these bum ass niggas lying on me. And y'all like granting them sole custody of my kids, of my sons, and they just purposely keeping them apart. Like, I'm over here saying, hey, let's meet up at a park. I'm emailing, like, can we meet up at a park, whatever. Like, at a public park. Like, what's the problem? Hey, can his tutoring sessions be over at my place? So that way it'll be supervised because the tutorer will be here. And also, I guess his grandmother will be here. And then his siblings will be here. I'm here. So that way, even before his sessions or after his sessions, he can have, that time to get used to his siblings again and get used to coming over to my place. Like, come on now, let's be a team player. Let's do what's best for Melvin. Like, come on now, let's be consistent. Let's think about him. Let's think about all the children. Like, come on. But what did they tell me? No, no, you have to come by yourself to the grandmother's house. And then I also mentioned this in court. I was threatened by people who go to his grandmother's house, or by a person who is what his mother's, how can I say this? Melvin, my son's dad, his mother washes, our son. So her sister threatened me, like with physical violence, and I'm just like, why would I want to go up over there? And I want to say these the same people before all of this happened, they all like praising me underneath Facebook posts how great of a mom I am, and I do good with my sons and this and that. But then once I said no, that one day it was like, oh, she needs parenting class. She don't know what she doing. And mind you, I ended up taking two parenting classes with sessions. You know, the first one it was mandatory when we was going to custody for Avon and AJ. My first two children. The second class, this was during Melvin custody, and it was not mandatory. But I'm like, you know what? Let me sign up for this class or whatever. Even though I took it maybe, I'm gonna say 3 years prior. I'm gonna say, yeah, maybe about 3 years prior. But let me take it again. It's not mandatory, which I thought it was going to be mandatory because his dad really should go to that parenting class that the court be having. And believe me, I learned some stuff, that I didn't know, and I seen and I recognized some stuff that my parents used to have me and my sisters in when we was young. So parenting class, taking them, through the court, that was fine. I think that was very educational. My perspective is very educational. So the second time I took it, it wasn't mandatory. I just took it because I'm just like, I'm showing that look, I'm gonna do what it takes to get my son, and get custody of my son. And I'm over here asking for joint custody, like come on now. And here go this motherfucker, and then the judge and his lawyers like sell custody. Like what? But like I said, it's all because of that order of protection that was placed upon me. And that's where it all started. That's where it all started. That was the foundation. And believe me, all that, everything that he built upon that crooked ass lying foundation is cracking. And that shit is tumbling down. It's tumbling down right now as I speak. Because all that is based upon lies, lies, lies. So anything that was built is on top of that is is not standing. It's falling down. It's falling down. And that's what y'all asses get. That's what y'all asses get. Like for real, for real. So yeah, so we went to going back to the order of protection. So mind you, somebody else wrote it. It wrote a whole lot of nonsense inside the protection order, and then told the police that it's a court order or dates. Like we was seeing, specific dates of court order. We ain't had no court order. We came up with them dates ourselves. Well, actually, I came up with it, but I asked them like the schedule. I came up with the schedule, and then I asked his dad, "What do you think about this?" He was like, "Well, we can try it out." And I was like, okay, fine. So we tried it out, asked him, is it good? Is it working? Yeah, that's fine. We can stick to it. So that's how it's been. No courts was involved during the scheduled time. But when he got that police report in October, he was like, yeah, we got a court, it's a court order that this is supposed to be my day. So that's why I was taking him, and it was on a Wednesday. And that was a normal day that his dad would actually been taking him. But at this time, his dad didn't see him in about, I don't know, a couple of weeks. And I was telling him during them couple of weeks, like, you can see him, you can pick him up, but the thing is, make sure you drop him back off at daycare in the morning time. And he was disagreeing with that because he didn't want to drop him off at daycare. He didn't want to do that. So then I actually called, the what them free lawyers, the helpline, tip line, or whatever. I actually spoke to a couple of different lawyers and asked them, like, okay, because I'm like, I don't want to be getting in trouble. I don't want to keep my son from his dad. Like, I don't want to do that. That's not me. I ain't keeping none of my kids from their dad. But I'm like, what do I do? I know if I give it to him, if I, how can I say this? I know that at this point, his dad was not going to be dropping him off at Dickeyville. I mean, that's the daycare center that he was attending. He wasn't in school yet, he wasn't even 3 years old yet. So that was the daycare that he was attending while I was at work, Dickeyville Learning Center. So I was telling his dad, like, just you can pick him up. You can have him for the night. You can do this, but make sure he goes to the daycare, because he got tutoring sessions. He got a tutor coming on a specific day and time. So, yada, yada, yada. And that's how I was in the beginning. But like I said, wires got crossed and stuff happened. And it was just like, oh, yeah, I had moved. That's what it was. I had moved to another part of Baltimore. So, oh yeah, and then I put Melvin in another daycare. His mother wasn't washing, his grandmother, I guess, wasn't washing him anymore because I put him in a daycare center around other kids, which was recommended by the program, and it made sense. Like maybe he would start talking if he's around other children. But his dad and his mom, his grandma, was like yelling at me because of that. Like, what, but she was like yelling at me because I didn't give her a full 2 weeks notice. So that means her pay was going to stop because I was getting them cow, them child care vouchers. So I instead of like 14-day notice, I think I gave her like 11 or 12-day notice. So yeah, I can agree to that. It wasn't a 14-day notice. It was like 11 or 12-day notice. But I wanted Melvin to start, the beginning of the week like that on a Monday. So she was like, "You ain't giving no 14-day notice and yada yada yada." So I'm gonna tell the program and this and that. I'm like, okay, that's fine. Like, okay, what matters to me is Melvin is going to be around other kids. That's fine. Whatever you got to do, do it. So I think that was the thing, that caused them the whole. I don't know. It was just like, come on now, I'm making moves to better our child, to better Melvin. But y'all still trying to find a fault in that. Like, what's the problem? What is the effing problem? You know? But anyway, so yeah, so we went, man, the police had to come over to the house because police had to come over to the house and get Melvin from me. Like, it wasn't forceful or nothing, it wasn't forceful. They came in and, I had Melvin running around, and stuff like that. So they was like, yeah, we got an order of protection that, you can't be around your son. This is the court date for 2 weeks. So we here to pick him up and his dad is outside in the car. We got to hand him over to his dad. I'm like, what? So, I'm reading it, I'm scanning through it. And I'm like, this not like what? So the officers is like, you know what? Just go to court on that court date in 2 weeks and, explain to the judge and this and that. And I'm like, what in the world? So I had to hand my son over to a police officer. It was one of them was a lady. So of course I gave him to her and I told Melvin, of course, so I tell him every day, I love you. I'll see you later. Be good. And mind you, he's not even 3 yet, at this time. He's on a 9-month-old level. So, I wasn't crying or nothing because I'm just like, at that time, I wasn't crying. I was just like, but when I say that was the longest see, now I'm about to cry. 'Cause I was just thinking about it. That was like the longest 2 weeks. I couldn't even like contact him. That was like if I had any kind of contact with him, with the dad, with Melvin, if I go up to the school, and mind you, he ain't even take him in Dickeyville. Like that was the end of him going to that child care. His dad ain't even take him up there. So it was like if I have any kind of contact with him, like I couldn't even go up to Dickeyville to see Melvin if he was there, if his dad did drop him off at the daycare, but he didn't. But if I had went up there to see my son, I could have got arrested because it was like I couldn't have no communication. And I'm like, what the F? Like, really? You really going to do this? So in my head, I'm like, I can't contact his dad to cuss his stupid ass out. This lying, trifling, stupid ass. Like, come on. What are you freaking thinking? What was you thinking? Freaking like you, why are you lying? Why did you lie like that? Come on. I don't hurt no kind of children, no child. No, all that stuff you said or somebody wrote is a freaking lie. Speeding down no damn parking lot. Like anybody could have been walking past. A car could have been backing out. I'm a freaking safe driver. This motherfucker, anybody who gets in my car while I'm driving, I be like, I don't pull off until the seatbelts is buckled. I even be like, seatbelts so we can be safe. I even say that whole Door the Explorer thing. Like, come on. Like, nigga, you rode in the car with me so many times. Like, his family rode in the car with me a couple of times. And they all complimented me on my driving. Like, come on. Freaking me speeding down no damn parking lot. Like, any man, cause I'm think, down, just thinking about that, just saying that don't even make sense to me. It's like people, I'm caring about people safety. Shoot, about my child safety. Shoot, about my car. I ain't got no money to get my car fixed. If somebody would have backed into me or if I would have ran into them, like, come on now. How would I speed down a freaking parking lot? But this motherfucker done lied. So I ain't had no contact with my son. I'm thinking, and I was at work. And I still had to go to work. And I was sitting at my desk and I just kept constantly crying. And I'm thinking about my son because I'm like, he probably like, where's my mommy? Where's my mom? So I would get up from my desk, and the job that I had at work was so freaking easy. Like my duty and my job was so easy. I couldn't even concentrate on that because I'm thinking about my son. So when we got like little rooms off to the side. You know, you walk down the hallway and it's probably about 6 or 7. I forgot what they called it, like small office spaces or meeting rooms. I don't know, but like it's private area rooms if you need to have a private conversation with somebody or a small meeting. So I would go in that room, in one of the rooms, and and then just sit with the light off and just cry because I'm thinking about my son. Like he's probably like, "Where's my mom? When is she coming to pick me up? When I'ma see her, when I'ma see my friends again at the school, when I'ma see the other little people." But I stayed at work, pissed off, and I wasn't myself, because I normally go to work and just, like be fine. Because I'm like, what's the problem? Why would I'm still an optimistic person. But them times I was at work, like, I ain't want nobody to talk to. And people, like my coworkers, they would be like, so how's your kids? They regular, just be conversating. They were like, yeah, so how's your son? How's your kids doing? And I'm like, they fine. But in my head, I'm like, I don't know. So, but yeah, that was like, man, them 2 weeks. And then when we went to court, the first court date we had was for, I believe, the criminal. No, we went to court for the 2 weeks thing. So that was in November. Yeah, I think that was in November. Yeah, like 2 weeks later. So my mom and my sister came with me, and so they was just like, just say none of that happened, and I'm like, I ain't gonna lie, like I want to tell the truth. Like, listen, this motherfucker is lying. Like, this what happened. I did pull off, but I was not speeding. I just took my foot off the brake and everything like that. My son was in the car seat. Like, I'm telling the freaking truth. But I sure enough went up there and was like, hey, none of that happened. He just got out the car and I rode off. I'm just like, because if I would explain all of that, and I'm like, this judge probably look at me like, oh, no, that's too much. Like, I'm just like, that's the simple way just to keep it simple. Since it is no witnesses, let me just say, hey. But then CPS had called me, and I don't be answering numbers I don't know. And then even if somebody leave me a voicemail, I'm the type of person to check the voicemail like a day or two later. So come to find out, a CPS person called me one time, they left me a voicemail. which I didn't check. And then so when we went to court, in them 2 weeks thing, I guess they sent in a report and they were like they couldn't get in contact with me. So I'm just like, ain't nobody call me for no CPS. So they was like, well, yeah, they said that they called a couple of times. They came to your house. And I'm like, when did somebody come to my house? Ain't nobody come to my house. And I'm like, well, I must have been at work. And I'm just like, they ain't leave no note. They ain't, leave no letter, no nothing. So I think all that was all fake too. But then sure enough, after the court date, driving back to the house, I was listening to my messages and then somebody from CPS there called. So I got in the house and I was like, called them and I was just like, I called somebody for CPS and this was like after hours too. And it was probably on the weekend also. Like say the court date was Friday. And then I called like like maybe 5 o'clock or so. And then like I left messages and then I called again and I was like, can you just please contact the court and tell them like, that everything is good and this and that because that freaking judge granted a whole year. That judge, he granted him a whole year for protection. And I just held my head down. I was just like, what? I was like, what? I couldn't even look at him. And my sister said she was looking at him. And he was just smiling while he was walking out the court. And then he had this girl with him. And I was like, what? Like, why would you smile about that? Why would you even take it this far? Like, why would you do this? You hurting him. You hurting our son. Like, is you trying to get back at me because I don't want to be with you, but you hurting the innocent. My children did not deserve this. Like, come on. When that judge was like, yeah, he granted the order of protection for a year. And I'm like, what? You mean tell me I can't see my baby? The baby can't see me. Like, what? So I stayed, me and my mom and my sister, we stayed at that court till like, I don't know, it was about to close until we got this paperwork done. Because I had to file an appeal. So I went up to another floor and filled out the paperwork and this and that. And then so I had to wait for an appeal date. And then during that time, I think that was in December, and I was like, ooh, that wasn't too long, but it was long enough. It was long enough. And to just hear that judge say a whole year when I was fighting back the tears for the 2 weeks. His dad walking out the courtroom smiling like this is a game. Like this is a joke. Like, come on. Come on, man. You're freaking live. Because you freaking lied and said that I harmed my child. You know I didn't do that. And then throughout the time, these court dates or whatever, with his lawyer, he had a lawyer. I've represented myself. His lawyer kept trying to file for. This is before the October thing, and even after the October one, because the appeal date came, and that was in December. The appeal date came, that was in December, and then the judge, another judge was like, okay, the request is denied. I mean, like far as extending the whole thing to a year. This judge, thank you. This judge, Fletcher Hill, he was like, you know what? Um, we just gonna take it back to mom, get primary physical custody, and then y'all gonna take it back to y'all regularly scheduled days how y'all been having it. But mom get primary physical custody, and dad y'all do y'all regular scheduled thing, and that. So I'm like, okay, good. So and this was freaking in what was I want to say December 9th. I want to say December 9th of 2017. So I'm like, okay, good. So then I think that following, it was Yeah, it was around this. No, it was December 14th. It was December 14th. And mind you, his birthday is December 19th. So December 14th, calculation, I'm supposed to be having him that weekend, that following weekend or whatever. So then, me being nice again, his dad was like, "Well, we got a birthday party planned for him, and it's already paid for, and it's at Chuck E. Cheese. So even though that's supposed to be Mom's weekend, can I just still have him, this weekend, So the judge was like, "Well, that's up to the mom." So in my head, I was like, "Well." I was calculating. I'm just like that. Yeah, I haven't seen him in such a freaking long time. Like, I don't want to hold this up. Like, I miss my baby. And I know my baby is like, where's my mommy? Where's my brothers? But me being nice, and I guess I want to say naive and dumb, I freaking was like, okay, fine. He can go ahead and have him this weekend. And then that means the following weekend he would still see him because that's his regular weekend. So I'm like, I ain't gonna see my son until another like 2.5 weeks, But I'm like, okay, fine. But I was still keeping optimistic. I'm like, okay, when I see him, fine, everything gonna be back to how it was, and So I'm just like, that was keeping me like going. Like, okay, cool. Mike, I haven't seen him since October. And this was in December. And so the time that weekend when I was supposed to have him, when his dad's supposed to drop him off at Dickeyville, he didn't. At the daycare center, he didn't. I even asked the judge, I was like, well, can his dad drop him off at Dickeyville, like continue, start back dropping him off? No, and I even said that, matter of fact, at the petition thing, at the order thing, I'm over here focused on my child's school. And I'm like, well, fine, if you want to give him a whole year, talking about I can't see my child for a whole year, but can you let his dad still, have interacted at Dickeyville? Or I don't know. I know I mentioned something either to that judge or to the other judge, which is basically keep his schooling going, his daycare center going, so he could be around other kids. But man, basically, his dad didn't follow that. So when it was my time, to have him, his dad had him at his own daycare center, and I'm like, that was not agreed upon. On such and such a day, you supposed to drop him off at Dickeyville. And the only day you can have them or put them in any kind of daycare is on Wednesdays. Like, it's in the freaking order. Like, I was like, we got the same order, and I'm freaking texting him the picture of it, and I'm like, read it clearly. And I got it in the closet too. I'm like, how in the world how is he not following this? Like, he's trying to make it seem like it's confusing. Like, oh no, you're supposed to pick him up on Thursdays, and I'm like, no, it says, man. So, anyways, that first time I did pick him up from the daycare center that his dad put him in, even though he don't supposed to be on him that day. So, because I'm like, I ain't see him in like, man. So I picked him up, and it was just like, oh my goodness, my baby. And I had the weekend with him. Yeah, I think I picked him up on Friday, and I spent the weekend with him. And I always have him on Monday. So Tuesday, dropped him off at Dickeyville, and his dad's supposed to pick him up. His dad picked him up. And the only day, like I said, on this whole court thing, on the document, his dad picked him up on Tuesdays. That's his days. And then Wednesdays, his dad would have him. So on the court day, it said on Wednesdays, the dad can put him in any daycare. If he don't want to drive to Dickeyville to put him in Dickeyville, he don't got to go to Dickeyville. If he want his mother to watch his son, he can have, his mother, my son's grandmother, to watch his son on Wednesdays. Thursdays, he's supposed to be at Dickeyville because I'm supposed to pick him up. That's Thursdays is my days. He's supposed to be at Dickeyville. Well, the only day that he really don't really have to be at Dickeyville Learning Center is on Wednesdays. But Thursdays is was my days to have him. And I don't so yeah, and that's the thing. He was dropping him off at a daycare center that he had put him in for Wednesdays. And I guess Thursdays. And I'm like, I don't supposed to pick him up from your daycare center on Thursdays. He's supposed to be at Dickeyville on Thursdays, and I'm supposed to pick him up from Dickeyville. And he's like, no, no, no. I said, it specifically say on Wednesdays, dad can put him in a daycare center of his choosing on Wednesdays. Come on now. But basically, I picked him up that one time because yeah, I haven't seen him in weeks. So then, like I said, that following weekend, was his dad. So I was like, okay, whatever. But then when it come time for me to pick him up again, I'm like, why is his dad not following order? And that's when me and him got into it. And I'm just like, I'm not going to be driving way across town when I don't supposed to be driving across town. Like this dude need to follow the order. So I'm just like, now he's one of the people that if you keep doing it, like say I don't supposed to be picking him up, which I don't supposed to be driving way across town on the east side to pick him up or whatever. But if I constantly do it when I don't supposed to, and then when I decided to stop, it's like, oh, see, when you was doing it before, so it must have been right. It's like, no, it was not right. I wanted to see my son, so that's why I picked him up. But I'm not going to continue to pick him up. So that's what it was. I was like, I'm not going to do this. You need to follow the order. So I wasn't picking my son up. So then, during this time, his lawyer was filing for um, emergency hearings and stuff like that. And most of this time, this paperwork, she was saying, yeah, that with the son, with Melvin being in a mom care, he's at risk of being harmed. And I'm like, what? I'm like, he's telling his lawyer to do this. Now, don't get me wrong, lawyers, they some cruddy ass motherfuckers that they'll do anything for some dollars, lie, cheat, steal, whatever for their client. But I'm like, bitch, your motherfucking client is lying. Like, come on. So she over here sending letters to the court talking about, yeah, we need an emergency hearing. The child is in harm's way. The child is in harm's way. The child is in a risk of being harmed by the mom. I'm like, what? What? And as I said, these motherfuckers was taking this as a freaking game. I'm like, why are y'all doing this? Like, y'all messing with my children's lives. Like, come on, they didn't do anything to y'all. Y'all over here focused on trying to hurt me and y'all hurting my children. Like, come on. So, needless to say, I even got the police involved. The police was like, well, the police even called his phone and was like, yeah, don't you supposed to be dropping him off to his mom and this and that. And he was like, well, I just figured I'd keep him for another day because, hey, my weekend is coming up anyway. Like, it was on a Thursday, and I supposed to have him on a Thursday. And his dad was like, well, I'm just going to keep him on a Thursday because Friday Saturday and Sunday is my days, so I'm gonna just keep them, telling the police officer this. I'm like, what the heck? Because I went up to police stations, a couple of different police stations, and they was like, well, yeah, that is kidnapping, especially if you got custody of the child. But police officers was like, well, we don't get involved. We can't get involved. You got to take it to the courts because we can't take a child from another parent to give to the other parent, even if it is some paperwork involved. You gotta take it to the courts for that petition thing. What is it called? Um, Contempt of court. And I'm like, that costs money. They was like, well, yeah. So I'm like, at this point, that's when I realized I'm like, all this is freaking money, 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 freaking scams. And file a damn claim, to file a paperwork. You gotta have some money. You gotta pay for it. Like this motherfucker is keeping my son away from me. It's keeping me away from my son. Like he's freaking hurting. He's the one that's abusing my child mentally, emotionally abusing him by purposely keeping him away from his mother. Like, come on, his mother. These bitches trying to take my place. Y'all hoes better sit y'all rusty asses down. Like, for real. Man, this comment, man. Ooh, ooh, ooh. And y'all bring this on yourselves. Y'all bring this on yourselves. For real, for real. For real, for real. And like I said, all this started because of his dumbass lies. Say that I harmed my son and he got a protection order. And then, like I said, in December, on December 14th, I was granted primary custody of my son. And his dad didn't return him. He didn't follow the order. So then we had a trial date with a magistrate in February, February 8th of 2018, in February. And then she even noted that mom has been kept away from her child since basically December. And like, Dad, you better follow the order. You better follow this December order. So then I'm like, yes, I can see my son. Good. So February come. I'm like, good now. And we made it clear. Like I was like, Judge, please make this clear. When and where is the pickup times? Like where we going to be meeting at? So she even said we're just going to be at Dickeyville Learning Center. That way y'all don't have to see each other. Mom drop him off. If it's mom's day to pick him up, mom will pick him up. If it's dad's day to pick him up and mom have drop him off, mom, you don't gotta go to pick him up because dad will pick him up. Dad drop him off at Dickeyville. If it's mom's day after Dickeyville, mom get him. So it was like me and him. We don't have to cross each other's path. And I was like, good. Like great. We made that clear in the courtroom. I even purchased the DVD from that court case. It was freaking $40 to play at a later court date because still, for some reason, he was not understanding that Dickeyville was the drop off spot, that it's supposed to be Dickeyville. So, and then of course, that didn't last. Again, his dad was like, no, no, no. But like I said, I'm thinking he going to be following the order. Like, good. The judge was like, hey, the magistrate was like, Dad, you better follow this order, yada, yada, yada. Oh, and then I seen court date. This time we done got the report back from Kennedy Krieger. We been had a report back from pediatric neurologist. We have reports from infants and toddler program in Baltimore about our son, ASD being autistic. So we have all them reports ever since December of 2017. So mind you, this is February 2018. So in this court date with the magistrate in February, he's like, "Oh yeah," and then we think that it's a misdiagnosis for his autism because mom was the main one filling out the paperwork and they didn't question dad and this and that. And I'm like, what? I'm like, they go based on the child. Whatever I wrote down don't mean, means something, but they visually go do activities with our son. And I'm like, Kennedy Krieger, this is like a major autistic, spectrum program. Kennedy Krieger Institute, like their report is like, yes, he is autistic. Like, come on now. So this court date in February, they like, oh yeah, there's a mixed diagnosis. He might not be autistic. It's because it's based on the mom answers, and I'm like, what? So I'm just in the courtroom. Remind you, I'm representing myself. So I'm just like, do I jump in? Do I not say something? So I waited my turn, and I was like, we got this paperwork to show that he's autistic. Like, what's the problem? But the judge was like, okay, well, dad, on your own time and your own basically dime, if you want to get your son tested again, then fine, do that or whatever, And I'm just like, what? And I'm like, this motherfucker don't even think his son is autistic. So how are you going to work with him if you can't even accept the fact that he's autistic? You denying it. Like, what the fuck? Like, come on, people. He's autistic. Like, fine, let's deal with it. Let's help him out. Let's embrace it. Come on, motherfucker. Oh, it's misdiagnosis. Misdiagnosis. Mom filled out all the paperwork. The people at Baltimore Infants and Toddler Program were just talking to mom. They were just going over mom house. And I'm like, I invited dad over to my house for some sessions. Like, come on now. So like I said, people would just, and I'm just pissed off because this whole time I'm focusing on my son, and these motherfuckers is focusing on me. But yet, this whole court, you know how they be like, yeah, child custody cases and stuff, it's the best interest of the child. What the fuck? In my case, no, it's not. But I gotta realize, and I have realized, things happen for a reason. Things happen for a reason. People is pulling this rope. You give them an inch and they just keep pulling, pulling, and pulling. And y'all motherfuckers is hanging yourselves. That's when that tower is falling now. I don't care how many stacks high, bricks, wood, pallets, whatever y'all built this shit on. That shit is crumbling piece by piece. And y'all motherfuckers falling down with it. Mark my words. Y'all motherfuckers is falling. And don't be crying out for help. Y'all did this shit yourselves. Y'all bring this on yourself. That foundation is faulty. Shit was freaking shaking while y'all was kept stacking all them damn bricks and sticks and stones and all that rubble, all that hay. All that shit was just shaking. Y'all just kept stacking things up. Y'all had plenty of opportunities, motherfuckers. And really, they dads who I'm talking to. Y'all had plenty of opportunities to be like, you know what? This shit is wrong. Demetra ain't do nothing to these children, to her children. She love them. We know this. So why are we doing this to her? Because we hurting our sons in the process. We hurting their brothers. We hurting them. We hurting the children. Y'all had plenty of times to stop this. Oh, and then did I mention that Melvin filed for child support? So I gotta pay child support. I'm like, I stopped working. I couldn't work. This is trauma. I was at work. Man, oh goodness, I'm not trying to cry again. But I was freaking at work and could not freaking focus. This was in January. Like my man, like I just when I say I had the easiest freaking duties, separating colored letters, like a whole tray of mail, and then letters that came back or whatever, and it's like different colored letters inside the envelope. Separate the colors, bundle them up in 50s, boom. Oh yeah, and get a letter opener and open them. And if I wasn't doing that, I was date stamping. So all the reader mail that came in, this is when you used to work at CMS, Centers for Medicaid and Medicare Services. All that reading mail that came in from all them senior citizens, trying to figure out things about their benefits, I would date stamp them, put each piece in a date stamp, boom, and then the date stamp would, stamp that date up on them, up on the paper, and I would set it to the side and put them in 50s. Like, come on now. And I couldn't even do that because I was so freaking traumatized. I'm over here constantly crying at work. And I'm like, come on, thinking about my son, thinking about my other children. And they're like, when are we going to see Melvin? And I'm like, oh, he's with his dad. In my head, I'm like, shoot, I don't even freaking know when we all going to see him. And I'm like, come on. So yeah, I couldn't work. I did request time off of work and I had no hours left, no vacation time, no none of that left. So my HR contacted her, told her what was going on. She was like, "Well, call this other number and see do they got any like thing about grievance or something about grievance to take time off and this and that." Called the number for the company, told them what was going on. They were like, "No, we don't got nothing specialized for that." And I'm like, "Oh." They was like, "Yeah, if you take time off, you ain't getting paid." And I'm like, "Oh my goodness." So I had took some time off and I was like going to the library researching, going online. I watching movies that's like similar to what I was going through, or just movies that was like motivational, that was like somebody that came from nowhere and then they made it out to the top, like something like that. It was like it was connected. and hidden clues and coded and stuff like that. So I'm like, all right. Then I went back to work, and then the people at my job, like the higher uppers, like I think a week, I was probably back at work, probably a week. And then the higher uppers presented me with a write up thing to sign, talking about every day that I was out, I supposed to have called my supervisor every single day. And I'm like, what? I said, I talked to HR, I talked to April about this. I was saying I shouldn't have to call my supervisor every day. So my supervisor, she in the meeting too, and she was like, what? She was looking confused, like that don't even make sense. And I'm like in my head, like, yeah, somebody in a hospital, you supposed to call the supervisor every day to be like, oh yeah, I'm not gonna be at work today. The next day, I'm not gonna be at work today. It's like I contacted HR and told them that I'm gonna be out for 2 weeks. But yeah, the higher uppers came up and was like trying and presented me with the write up and was like, yeah, you gotta sign this because yada yada yada. And I'm like, I ain't signing that shit. I mean, I ain't say shit, but I'm like, I ain't signing that. So I put decline to sign, and I was like, I'm thinking they sent me inside this meeting, because they wanna, they want to comfort me some, comfort and be like, it's okay. Like, we heard what you're going through. Or do you want to talk about what you're going through? Was there any way we can help you cope what you're going through, with you not seeing your son, and, he's been kept from you, like, anything we can do. I'm thinking that's what that meeting was for. But no, these motherfuckers pushed a freaking right up towards me. Like, y'all better get that shit out of my face. But I think the higher uppers was trying to been get me out for a while. Like I said, all this is intertwining with each other because I'm the type of person, and I work with people who got disabilities. It's a disability company, contract company, and the people that I work with, they have different kinds of disabilities. All kinds, mental, physical, whatever. And I ain't gonna say I was their voice, but more so I was speaking more up for them. They have their own voices, if they want to voice their opinions, they do that. But for the most part, they will come to me just in regular conversation and be like, Demetra, how do you feel about this? Or do you know this? We don't have this. Or, and like they would get my opinion. I'm like, yeah, that is weird, or yeah, I do agree with that. So then when we have our meetings, if they don't bring it up, like I see them looking at me like, hey, so then I would bring it up, and and I would talk and I would ask, and most of the time it'd be about raises also, because man, that's a whole nother different thing. But that company, y'all know y'all wrong. Y'all know y'all wrong, but yeah, it's coming. Coworkers, friends, family, yeah, it's coming. It's coming because that company, y'all was using and abusing them. The amount of work that my coworkers, friends, family, like I said, if they started off as coworkers, they became friends, and some of them became, family, quote unquote. And I'm like, the amount of work, like the duties that they had to do, not what I had to do, because I'm talking about computer wise, like different coded and social security numbers and type in this and do that. Like, and the amount of money that we was getting paid was hella less. Come on now. Like the work that they was doing, that was like college graduate kind of stuff. That was like at least 50 or 60,000 a year. We wasn't even making that. And then a pay rate, like the only time you can get a raise is if you move up a grade. So if you a male clerk one, that's your pay. If you a male clerk two, that's your pay. Male clerk three, that's your pay. So you can be a male clerk three for 6 years, and your pay would be that for 6 years. I'm like, what the, like, come on now, that don't make no damn sense. And then I done called so many um not what's that thing, the DC numbers for the employment wage thing, and spoke to people on the speakerphone while I was at work, had my coworkers listening, because they was like, yeah, Demetra, go ahead and call, and I'm like, I'm standing up for them, which I did not mind, because I don't like bullies. I do not like bullies. And my coworkers, friends, family, they was getting bullied by this damn freaking company that we all worked for. Like, come on now, these people are smart, and then they over here being good workers. It's like they shoot coworkers. They was holding, man. I mean, I'm quite sure some of y'all know what I'm talking about. When like the workers do most of the work, but then the supervisors and the heads up, they get the bonuses and a pay raise, while us workers, we still making the same pay for the past 4 or 5 years. But every year, and we do the most work. But every year, the supervisors and stuff, they get their bonuses. We don't get nothing but a pizza party. So, but but yeah, but I couldn't even work there no more because I couldn't focus. It was just like constantly kept crying and it was unhealthy. So needless to say, um, I end up quitting before they fired me. They was about to fire me because I already knew it, but I ended up leaving. I ended up leaving, and I haven't been to work since. It's too traumatizing. I can't go back to work, and because I'm still going to be focusing on my son. Like I'm going to be feeling like I'm 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 wasting time sitting behind this desk when I can be researching some stuff, when I can be writing emails, when I can, like no. And this motherfucker, man, gonna put me on child support when I was pregnant with Melvin. When I was pregnant with Melvin, he was like, "Yeah, don't keep it, yada yada yada." So of course, months in, when of course realized that I'm keeping a baby, he's like, "I just don't want to be on child support. Don't put me on child support." I'm like, "I'm not going to do that. I'm not that type of female. I'm not going to do that." So he was every so often, kept saying it. Just don't put me on child support. I'm like, I'm not. And then here go years later, this motherfucker put me on child support. Like, nigga. So I'm like, come on now, I don't got no freaking income coming in. So my daughter's dad, he's paying for it. He's taking care of all the household bills and stuff like that. So now he's basically paying child support. I mean, isn't that funny? But it's like, come on now. And then I even was saying that in court, like I freaking stopped working because of this motherfucker, because of the drama, the trauma, the drama. Like, come on. Like I said, always want some kind of reaction out of me. Like I was minding my freaking business. And then my son on top of that, when he was with me, he was getting disability. Every month he would get a check for disability. And then plus his daycare was free. So I'm like, at this point, like with the daycare vouchers and stuff, there was like everything is free now. We got the paperwork to show has this ability, so that's free. His medical was free also, and all that stuff. So then we in child support court, and then this was what I'm gonna say April 9th, and then I had my daughter on April 21. So we in the court, I'm pregnant or whatever. So I'm like, well, I'm not working, but I don't know, it was just weird. And I was giving my piece, like, you know what, I don't believe in child support because I'm just like, especially for a black man and being in a system, and I got 4 sons, and I'm not trying to start that generational curse. I can't even say it, of having their dads in the system. Because I'm like, I could have put their dads in the system, but I'm like, why would I do that? Like, why? So I'm like, no, I'm not going to do that. My son's not going to grow up and going to be a part of this judicial system of child support, having that generational curse to go on to them. So then, if they get a girl and something happened and she's going to feel like, oh, yeah, child support. Like, no, we ain't going to start that. That's not going to be here. So I'm saying that all in court or whatever. And then judge still say, okay, yeah, child support. But I'm going to do it the part-time work or whatever. And I'm like, I stopped working because of this dude. He's up in court, like just chilling. And then after that, I even asked him, like, what did my children do to you? I'm talking to him. I'm like, what did my children do to you? What did I do to you? Like, what's the problem? Like, come on. And then I would say this whole time, because years passed and I haven't seen my son, I haven't talked to him. Mind you, he's autistic. And he's more so of a physical kind of person. Like if I were to talk to him on video chat or through the phone, he ain't gonna. He'll be like, "What the heck is this?" Like, no, I need to see you. So I'm like, that would be a tease, and I would not be teasing my child. I would not be teasing him. So throughout the years, I'm going through stuff, mentally, emotionally, not having my baby, and I can see if I did something wrong. That's the thing that I'm like, I didn't do anything wrong, like to my child. Like, yes, the thing that I did wrong was being so naive and being so stupid and just thinking people have good hearts like me. But far as harming any child, I did not do nothing. So it's like I'm being accused or I'm being in jail because it feels kind of like jail for a crime that I didn't commit. And my children are being punished also for a crime that their mom did not commit. My children are the ones that are hurting. They're the ones that are being separated, that are being kept separated. And then, like I said, throughout the years, I'm like, okay, why in the world is this nigga asking for child support when when our son get a monthly income, when everything is free, schooling, medical, and you get, you know, hundreds on hundreds every month for him, and I'm minding my business. Yes, I'm not contacting you, you not contacting me, but yet you talking about child support again. Here you go. You just want to bring me in some drama. Like, oh, she hasn't contacted us in a few years. We need to, have some kind of communication, even if it's drama. How about reaching out to me instead of with the child? And then you ain't even reach out beforehand, before filing. Like, you could have texted me, oh, you know what? I'm struggling with him. You think you can, do a few dollars here and there, something. And I would have been like, well, let me see what I can do. But this nigga just filed for child support. Like, again, want to create drama. Drama, drama, drama. Nigga, I don't want to be with you. I don't ever want to be with you. Fuck you. I hope that was clear. But yeah. Um, but yeah, y'all, I know y'all feel it. I know y'all niggas feel it. But there's anything else? I want to say a few things, but it's 11:25 p.m. So I think I'm about to just chill out for a bit. And I don't know when my foot feel like I need to crack it, or okay, it did crack. I'm rotating my foot. It's like, goodness, is somebody ankle or foot, you know, sprain or something? I don't know. But I mean, it's some more stuff that I want to say. I guess I'll do another live another day, but probably again later. I don't know. Finish watching Marge and Call. It's close to the end. I actually rewinded some, but yeah. But yeah, just know that, I mean, hey, it's y'all gonna, everything that y'all do, that y'all have done to me, tried to do to me, all that is going to come back on y'all 1,000 plus times fold. Y'all already know it because I'm quite sure it's happening now. So, toodaloo. All right, that's about it for now.